Hello, abduction recovery fans. I'm Kevin Ripa, and this is my SANS 3 Minutes Max. In the last episode, we introduced you to symmetric encryption. And just to recap, in symmetric encryption, the key that encrypts is also the key that decrypts. There is only one key. The next type of encryption we're going to discuss is asymmetric encryption. In other words, there are two keys. They are not the same. There is a public key and there is a private key, and they are mathematically linked to each other. By the way, where do we get these keys? Well, we can get these keys from a certificate authority, or if bigger corporations might manage that in-house using their own certificate authority. And so this is PKI, public key infrastructure. Now remember, these are mathematically linked together. What does that mean? Well, we can encrypt a message with either the public key or the private key. It doesn't matter. However, if we encrypt it with the public key, the only thing in all the world that can decrypt it is the private key, nothing else. If we encrypt it with the private key, the only thing that can decrypt it is the public key. Now, the names are just as they sound. The public key is public. Everybody gets it. Anybody who wants your public key can get your public key. That's the idea behind public key infrastructure. So you might think to yourself, if you're keeping score, why would I ever want to encrypt my message with my private key if everybody's got my public key? Fantastic question. There are reasons which we will get into in later episodes. But the takeaway here, the key that encrypts is not the key that decrypts. If encrypted by the public key, it can only get decrypted by the private key. It can't even get decrypted by its own public key. That's not how it works. The downside to this is it's very, very slow. So usually the only time we're using this is to encrypt symmetric keys so that we can exchange keys. That's a large part of why asymmetric encryption is in use, so that we can safely exchange symmetric keys to decrypt messages. So public key, private key, we got to keep that straight as we go forward. In the next episode, we're going to introduce you to hashing, because we have to understand hashing before we can understand the whole sphere of this encryption life cycle. But in the meantime, and in between time, that's it. Another episode of 3 Minutes Max.